I enjoy good action movies and fun action movies. When
Absolutely,
you
the way they should be.
when you were a kid growing up, did you like that type of movie over others?
Oh my goodness, I grew up. Well, I'm a child of the '80s video boom,
Ah,
right? So VHS video. Well, I'm so old that Betamax video is still part of my language. But anyway, so VHS growing up in the Midlands of the UK, so the rural part of England, there were no cinemas nearby.
mm,
So I went to. I think that the first movie I remember ever going to see was Close Encounters of the Third Kind with my grandparents, who didn't understand the movie at all, and I didn't understand the movie at all because I was like 5. But the spectacle and the extraordinary nature was incredible. And then James Bond, I think it was Diamonds Are Forever with my
wow.
dad. So they kind of loom large. So that I'm a genre fan. I just love genre movies. So in the '80s, I sort of grew up on American action and horror movies. So that's why I lean into that genre. So I remember seeing it's 40 years ago, so I can say it, like an illegal copy of Terminator, which
Mm.
somebody had got on VHS, and watching that with my friends and just being so completely blown away by it. The movie that started me wanting to be a filmmaker was Alien.
Oh.
I was obsessed with that film, and it was years before I was old enough to see it, but it's the first film I became aware that somebody had made it. You know, like when you're little, films just exist,
Yeah.
right? But this one, I knew that Giga had designed the Alien, and Dan O'Bannon had written it, and Ridley Scott had made it. It's the first time it came into my world that these things are created, they're thought about, and it was so profoundly important to me. And to this day, I'm still chasing an Alien project. I heard that Noah Hawley's doing Alien as a TV series for, I think, Fox or Disney Plus.
Wow.
And I said to my agents, if you don't get me on that show, everyone's fired.
Well, it's true. I mean, those movies are life-changing films. I remember the movie that got me interested in filmmaking was The Red Balloon.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
then I'm a lot older than you are, and that just changed my life. I wanted to know how they made it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it becomes a thing because you realize that so many people get involved. And when you start reading screenplays, and I didn't want to be a filmmaker. That's the other thing. I wanted to be a vet. So
mm,
natural history and science are absolutely my passions. And I had no idea about becoming a filmmaker at all until, so I was a vet's assistant and I ran wildlife hospitals, and I was completely going down that path, but I didn't work hard enough at school. So I left school at 15, 16 to
mm,
work as an assistant to a wildlife filmmaker. So they taught me photography and filmmaking. And then I ended up on TV in the UK as a teenager hosting wildlife and nature programs. And then with that money, I bought like one of those big old VHS video cameras, like the size of a car that you won't. And I started making short films. And everyone said, "Oh, you want to make short films about animals?" I went, "No, I want to blow shit up," because that was the other thing I
exactly.
really like to do. So these and I've been trying to get these passions to come together for decades. First of all, trying to build a career as a filmmaker, which took forever, and then
Well,
slowly getting back to making stuff which is about what I care about.
you've managed to blow shit up in your last two movies. So
Absolutely, right?
yeah, Rogue was, and I want to say that I love directors that can see things in people that uh, most people can't. First of all, Megan Fox, as an action star, what a brilliant idea. And then Jerry O'Connell, as an evil dude.
Yeah,
Again, it's playing against type. They did that with Leslie Nielsen. He started as a
yeah,
bad guy, became a
he
good
did.
guy,
That's
became
right.
and I was blown away by O'Connell's performance.
Jerry's great. I mean, he's so good in this movie. And a real surprise. And the truth is, I got Jerry by accident, obviously because he's married to Rebecca.
Yeah.
So we would, and this movie, the whole creation of Endangered Species was like an accident of COVID because we were all locked down, and I had this project that I wanted to make, and it was sitting there, and I was doing Halo in Budapest
Hmm.
for Showtime, and we got canned, or we got suspended like everybody else did, sent home. I never got to shoot a frame of Halo, even though I was doing the 2 season finale episodes, which are going to be amazing. And I was like a day away from shooting. We all got sent home. I got stuck in the UK. I couldn't get back into the US where I live because of my paperwork, because they closed everything down totally. So suddenly I was on my own. My kids live in the UK, so I took an Airbnb near them. And I was like, what am I going to do for the next? And nobody knew how long it was going to take. So my producing partner, who made Rogue with me, we were this and Endangered Species was like the second of the. I'm making 3 of these kind of Africa eco action movies, and this was the second one, which we planned to do straight after Rogue. We couldn't. I was going to do Halo. Then it's like, what can we make this? We couldn't get into South Africa because it was closed entirely to international people. We were looking around at maps, and I remember saying, what about Kenya? Is Kenya still open? And I'd always wanted to go to Kenya. Even as a naturalist, I was obsessed with the country, but had never been there. And like Kenya was still open for production. So then it was like, can we do this? Can we go there, make this little movie? And there was no money at all now. So the budget had been completely slashed. I knew I wanted Phil Winchester because Phil's my guy. And I thought it was going to be a really interesting lead role for him. We were looking for the female lead. We ended up with Rebecca, who's great. She was willing to travel. It was one of those things, who's willing to travel? Who's willing to try this? And Rebecca said, well, I'll come, but I've got to bring my family. And they've got two kids. And Jerry, and I was like, well, what, Jerry O'Connell, Jerry? I was like, yeah. I said, would Jerry be interested in being in the movie? And Jerry was like, I just want to come. I'll lift boxes. I'll paint things. I don't care. I just want to be involved. I said, do you want to be, the hunter? And he's like, yeah. And it was that. It was like I got Jerry by accident, and he reveled in it. He completely smashed it.
It's a great performance, and again,
really
so unexpectedly great.
Totally. I mean, I think he surprised himself a little bit because he's a really fun actor, and obviously he's been in the business since he was a kid. So and it's not even autopilot, because the other thing about shooting in African countries, and obviously we say Africa's like 50 countries, and they're all different. So as Westerners, I've got to be careful about just saying Africa generically, Kenya. But a lot of these countries I've been to in Africa, they do change people's lives. I think, South Africa changed Megan when we did Rogue, for sure. It changed Megan Fox. It changed me when I first went there. It's changed Phil. Everybody who goes to Africa with me kind of gets changed, whether it's because they're working on a crazy production of mine or the place itself is different. But so Jerry was really connecting to Kenya as a country. And then also he says the most important things in the movie for me as a writer. The words I put in his mouth are really important words, even though he's the villain. He talks about, the rights of, we to judge how Africans and Kenyans and South Africans and Botswanans, how they treat their own country and our judgment of them. And I think those are important words, even he's doing it in a villainous way. So yeah, I'm thrilled with Jerry, thrilled.
Well, and the movie itself is just a nonstop, roller coaster. It's one of those back to, like you said, the 80s kind of fun disaster kind of movies where everything seems to go wrong, and it's fun to watch that kind of thing.
Keep throwing obstacles in front of your. Well, that's what I've always done, right? I've done it when I was doing Strike Back, obviously for how many seasons I was involved in that, 4 or 5 seasons. The rule was always escalate.
Yeah,
if you can, and it can get ridiculous, and definitely it's in my nature to make things ridiculous if I don't have people around me just holding me back, because I would just go bigger and bigger and bigger, right, if I could.
Yeah, and you got to do that with Ash versus the Evil Dead. You
totally. I mean, well, that's a show where that's completely allowed. So, and I had a possessed demon car in Ash versus Evil Dead. Bruce Willis,
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell fighting like a matador with his possessed car on fire. And you go, yes, I love it when you can do this. That's because of Sam Raimi's legacy of he's a director of excess. And I'm English, so I get a little bit more reserved in places. But in terms of doing the action, yeah, for Endangered Species, for me, it's a much more restrained piece, because it's like a mini disaster movie. It's just this family and what happens to them, and I lean into some character stuff, and I think I get great performances from the kids. So as a unit, it's sort of interesting, and again, resources wise, in terms of the animal enemies, and I hate referring having the animals as baddies, because they're just doing what they do. But with Rogue, we had a digital lion, which is like a little bit wobbly in terms of its quality of its effects. So I had to pull back from that a little bit with this. So I only have 30 VFX shots in the whole movie. All the animals are digital because don't want real animals on the set. And you have to use them carefully. Like, you don't want them too close. You want them to feel like they're real and they really exist. But at the same time, you want to use them in the way that you can. There are times, actually, really shooting we shot in Amboseli in Kenya, which is famous for its elephants. I didn't want elephants in the movie. And weirdly, it was finding landscapes without elephants in. You point the camera and there's like, oh God, there's 50 elephants over there. No, I have to point the camera somewhere else. Too many elephants is not a problem I thought I'd ever have in my life.
In our final moments that we have together, I mean, I enjoy the tip of the hat that you give to, Alien and all of that in your movies, because you do that isolation thing where you're cutting people off further and further, and it's got a claustrophobic feel. And it's a brilliant idea to have that claustrophobic feel in the middle of a savanna. I mean,
yeah,
that's a brilliant piece of cinematography.
Thank you. I mean, you're never lonelier than when you're in the middle of nowhere, right? Because even though you commune with nature, but nature doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about us. And the landscapes are so extraordinary. But yeah, the movie was a fun movie to make, and I hope it's a fun movie to watch. Huge challenge. It's my COVID gift to the world.
And we accept it with open arms. In our final seconds, what do you think people are going to pull from the movie?
Well, I mean, honestly, I hope they read the final message, and these are the things that I don't like making message movies which are overt. But the thing is, it is a conservation message movie, and you do see a couple of images which are upsetting. And I hope it just gives people a moment of awareness. And same with Rogue. It's like with Rogue was an anti-lion farming movie, and South Africa has just changed its laws on lion farming. So I do feel that these movies, which can be entertainment in and of themselves, can also help bring a little bit of awareness. If I've done that, then I'm happy.
Well, I can't wait to talk to you on the next one as well. You're such a great conversation. And next time I'm in LA, I'm going to look you up and take you out for a cup of coffee or something. Because
it will be great, Tony. I'd love to. And I got to come to Utah at some point. I just found out my great grandfather is buried in Eureka Cemetery.
Wow. Well, we can.
And I'm thinking of prepping my next movie out there.
Take you over there and you can pay your respects. But again, talking with somebody who loves movies like this is a great conversation, MJ. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Always. Anytime, Tony. Take care.